We are back at one of my favorite parks. The B-roll clips for today are while on a longboard. Wonderful place for longboarding if you're interested in that. Today I would like to discuss how to vibrate correctly. How to vibrate correctly. Consider this. Ramana Maharshi, he once said, "I am that I am," sums up the whole truth. The method is be still. What this means is you are already at the highest vibration. You are already at the highest vibration now. You exist at the highest frequency now. You exist in a state of fulfillment now. As you hear me say sometimes, the stillness to me means love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. All the things that I once seeked for. Then over the years, upon not thinking from lack of fulfillment based beliefs and thinking from the premise of my true nature, love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment, sure enough, all these things that I desired began to appear to be easily, ideally, automatically added onto me as wonderful life experiences, relationships, friendships, financial freedom, in ways that we could say are so easy that at one time I thought maybe that would be impossible. By that I mean very specifically, I get to do what I love to do. When I discovered this information in 2004 through Think and Grow Rich, I applied autosuggestion, which is thinking from the premise of fulfillment. I created simple autosuggestions, statements that imply that I am fulfilled, statements that point to my true nature. And those goals, those visions actualized as they're symbols of my true nature. And beliefs that were untrue were also released. Identification specifically to those beliefs were released through auto-suggestion. And what happened was not only did I actualize those goals, those visions, those definite chief aims, I also noticed that the various areas of my life appeared as authentic reflections of love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. personal life, relationships, etc. And what I noticed is I started to do things that I genuinely love to do. And as a result of doing these things, I experience joy, bliss, happiness, love, peace, fulfillment while doing these things. Perfect example is enjoying this wonderful walk with you, enjoying this wonderful conversation with you, and it makes me an increasingly lavish, steady, dependable income consistent with integrity and mutual benefit. During that time when I discovered Think and Grow Rich, I was working in a corporate job, which was actually a wonderful job. It was an IT job. I enjoyed it. I set my first definite chief aim to get out of $50,000 debt, which happened in a way that was easier and faster and more flow-based than I once thought possible. Which means that I was identified with a particular belief in mind that suggests that I am not love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment in some regard, and it was generating the illusions of separation-based resistance and doing unnecessary things, thinking unwisely, and by releasing identification to those illusory, untrue, unreal beliefs, to be as I am that I am sums up the whole truth, which for both of us means you exist now in the highest vibration, the highest frequency, the ideal state of consciousness. The person may have forgotten this, or so it appears that way, through identification to illusory beliefs in mind, which can be released through being still. So as mentioned, autosuggestions released identification to illusory beliefs, which was generating, let's say, the appearances of not being as I am, from which I started to experience calm, ease, joy, flow, doing the things that I love to do, while also I cleared out $50,000 debt. And then in 2009, I started my IT business, and the IT business grew to success doing what I love to do. And while I was doing it, there were more opportunities to release identification to the illusory beliefs that was generating unnecessary resistance to doing the things that I love to do on the journey to actualizing entrepreneurial success. And as I did, the business grew, I experienced more flow, and then in 2013 I said, let's go into consulting. I started this channel as well. And what I've found over the years is that money started appearing easier, faster, in more flow-based, joyous ways, still consistent with integrity and mutual benefit. Yet, at times it feels like I don't do anything, because it's true, as soul doership is an illusion. I can of myself do nothing, the Father within doeth the work. So I simply release control, acknowledging that I am fulfilled now, I am at the highest vibration now, which means you as well are at the highest vibration now, the highest frequency now. So in order to vibrate correctly, we can say, we can simply be still. One of the ways to be still is to not think the thoughts that are not from the premise of your true nature of love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. And by that I mean, not identify with the thoughts. If they appear in mind, you don't need to identify with them. They belong to what the Bible refers to as the old man, the unreal man, the illusory man, which is not you. I am that I am sums up the whole truth. Existence is love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. That is your true nature. So how can you think otherwise? If you think otherwise, that's an illusion. That's not you thinking. That's not you really thinking, as we say. If you were really thinking, you were really thinking from the premise of love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment in relation to people, environment, circumstance, information, which is your true nature. So that's one thing that I do to acknowledge that I am in the highest vibration, that I am in the highest frequency, that I am in my ideal state of consciousness. By acknowledging that I do not think the thoughts that are illusory. That is not me thinking those illusory thoughts. Those are thoughts belonging to the old man. They arise from untrue beliefs in mind. And as you are aware of these thoughts, and as you are aware that these thoughts are untrue, unwise, not real, by not identifying with them, you remain as you are. So we could say then, be as you are. Be as I am. When I say be as I am, I mean be as you are. Whole, complete, love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment, not because of this or that reason. For no reason at all, we could say. No reason at all. The other thing that I do to be still is to think from the premise of fulfillment, because the moment we think from the premise of fulfillment, we notice we experience calm, love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment, because we are acknowledging our true nature in that moment. And we acknowledge that we are still. As I like to say sometimes, I am still. Yet I may appear to flow, body may appear to flow, mind may appear to flow, fluidity of mind. Emotions may appear to flow. Environment may appear to flow. Yet I am still. Another way to, we could say, vibrate correctly is to dedicate moments to be in the stillness. It could be through a meditation practice. For example, I do a 20-minute Vipassana meditation. I'll link in the description to it. And that's it. For 20 minutes, I abide as I am. During the meditation, if illusory thoughts, untrue thoughts arise in mind, I don't identify with them. I remember one time when I came to the realization that I am love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. You may hear me say that a lot. What happened was I was in a meditation. Again, it was a Vipassana meditation. And I was experiencing profound stillness. Being as I am, you could say I was vibrating correctly. What then appeared in my mind's eye was this little white dot, a point of light. Sometimes I refer to that point as the point of life. At that moment, I knew I was being on point. That was the point of meditation. And what I experienced in that moment was profound love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. And that is how I knew it was my true nature. And so then I put two and two together. I said, all these auto-suggestions that I did over the years were pointing to this point, were bringing me to this point. Every time I did not identify with illusions of separation-based thinking, and by that I mean specifically thoughts that would suggest otherwise, not from the premise of love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment, I knew that those thoughts arose from untrue beliefs. And by not identifying with those thoughts, they were released. The untrue beliefs were released, and those thoughts no longer appeared in mind. And that also contributed to bringing me to the point. While I was meditating, I was brought to the point and experienced the point of life as love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. That's how I came to know my true nature. And we could say that that point then went on to be a point of reference for me. And that I could access that point at any moment through thinking from the premise of my true nature, through not identifying with illusory thoughts, unreal thoughts that suggest otherwise, through taking moments to be still in the silence, and to live on point. And by that I mean being on purpose. So I mentioned that, another example, the third successful business I built was through this YouTube channel. First one was my IT business, then was my consulting practice, and the third one was from this YouTube channel. I have made many millions of dollars of lavish, steady, dependable income consistent with integrity and mutual benefit over the years through the deals that came from this YouTube channel, making very simple videos, as you have probably seen if you've been a student of my programs or if you've been a subscriber for a period of time. I was making for an extended period of time mind map videos, sharing my thoughts, my reflections on books in relation to various new thought books. It was such a simple, fun thing to do, easy to do, yet it was generating an increasingly lavish, steady, dependable income consistent with integrity and mutual benefit. And how do I know? Because I've received many emails over the years, DMs, comments, from people that have benefited greatly from what I had put out. And recently, my new style is to enjoy these kinds of conversations, like I would do with mind maps, while walking with you. How wonderful is this beautiful Saturday morning, being on purpose, doing what I love to do, being on point, being in flow, and experiencing love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment, my true nature with you. So to vibrate correctly, to acknowledge that you are at the highest frequency in your ideal state of consciousness, be as you are. Whether it is through auto-suggestion, not identifying with illusory thinking or a combination, being still, being in flow, meditating, or a combination of those, which that is what I did over the years. By being as you are, you notice that you end up doing what you genuinely love to do, and everything works out in your favor. And if you desire to generate an increasingly lavish, steady, dependable income consistent with integrity and mutual benefit, you will find that you will end up doing the thing that you genuinely love to do. It'll be easy and effortless, and if it doesn't appear that way, the thing that you love to do is easy and effortless, that is not you. That kind of thinking belongs to the old man. Through autosuggestion, through being still, through not identifying with those illusory thoughts that suggest doing what you love to do needs to be stressful, frustrating, you sure enough experience doing what you love to do from a state of flow. This is what I mean by make flow a priority. Your true nature is love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. You experience that in your flow, be in your flow. So this has been the case over the years for me, as you can see. I get to do what I love to do. I have a wonderful business. I've done 3 successful businesses doing what I love to do. And over the years, I did these 3 things to vibrate correctly. And what it did was release identification. Release identification. There's a word I like to use, I don't know if it's a real word, but I say identificationless or identificationlessness. That means I am detached from outcome. I appear to flow. I am not identified with the appearances. I allow the appearances to be, and they appear to be from the premise of my true nature with increasing frequency on a continuous basis as far as the senses perceive. And as you and I are no different, truly, you and I are no different. Beyond the illusory labels of limitation that can only appear in mind, you are love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. That is your true nature. Inevitably, everybody realizes the truth. And practically speaking, it results in a person being in flow, doing what they love to do, being authentic, true self-acceptance, unconditional self-acceptance. You can say, You accept that you are the unconditional self. Identificationless. And you allow the world to be, and then it appears to be in your favor. Interesting story about this place here. Up there is one of my skateboarding spots. And then I looked over one day and I said, wow, what is this? All these statues. It's called the Garden of the Greek Gods. Garden of the Greek Gods. And while those visions, goals, definite chief aims actualize, during the journey you have wonderful experiences. Isn't it wonderful? Pleasant surprises like this. Just automatically one day I ended up here. I felt inspired to come to this area, and then I discovered this area. And then I mentioned in one of the videos that we had a conversation with while I was here, that this was last year where I used to take a lot of notes for the videos that I released last year. And it's a blessing that I get to share this with you today. So again, doing what I love to do, doing what you love to do, you can have wonderful relationships, wonderful business, wonderful career, whatever it is for you. This is my style of doing things. This may be similar to your style might be different. Your way is the best way. Because although we are all love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment, love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment appears as individualized expressions of truth. Ramana Maharshi did it his way. It was very inspiring. I love his work. I recommend studying his work. You do it your way. I do it my way. They all happen to be, as a person lives authentically as they are, from the highest vibration, as creative expressions, wonderful lifestyle, harmonious relationships, wonderful life experiences. This is what I mean by when I say sometimes reality is rigged in your favor. And it also happens to be rigged in the favor of all, as all is in harmony and in contribution to your vision, your true nature, and you happen to be in harmony and in contribution to all. Practically speaking, it plays out as harmonious relationships in business, conversational flow. You don't experience illusions of separations in conversations, in relationships, all by being as you are, at the highest vibration now. So I trust you found this video to be helpful. Let's conclude this with an auto-suggestion to further encourage. You could say, I am at the highest vibration now. By being as I am, everything appears to be a mirror reflection of truth, to represent that I am. As I flow as I am, environments, conversations, experiences flow as I am. I experience in the moment now, being in flow, unconditional love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment, my true nature with the experiences of life. Wonderful relationships, wonderful business, wonderful lifestyle that is individualized, my style, my individualized style of love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. This occurs with increasing frequency on a continuous basis as far as the senses perceive.